Thank you, Sean. Thank you for everyone at Icon Coaching.
Simon, congratulations, man. You know what that is?
That's winning.
It's winning, baby. I love it when you're winning. That's fantastic.
I got 2 under contract, so that's like 2.8 million in 2 weeks.
You've got to take control of your production to make sure that you're making more money, your bank account balance is rising, that your net worth is increasing, and that's what we want to see happen.
So that they can save the listing.
Which I'm really, really thankful for, Sean. Thank you.
See everyone coming on board. Welcome to Icon Coaching's webinar.
Hello and welcome, everybody. It's Sean Kokoska, Icon Coaching. I've got a couple of really special guests today. I happen to be en route to a mastermind conference down in San Antonio, Texas, on my way from Austin. And sadly, we got some traffic on I-35 that delayed our arrival. I was supposed to be checked into the hotel and doing this from the comfort of my hotel room or a conference room at the facility. Yet, hey, real estate, I love it because it's always calm. It's always predictable. That's a joke. No doubt about that. Let me just take a moment. I want to introduce somebody to our call today. His name is Alan Savage. Now, this guy is a force of nature, guys. I'm telling you. Alan, how many active listings are you carrying right now?
52.
52 active listings. Not bad. No doubt about that. And where does most of your business come from, Alan?
From past clients, referrals, and I would say turning every client of mine into a referral agent, constantly giving me referrals from, friends, relatives, neighbors, for sale by owners, those kinds of things.
All right. So most of the business coming through your sphere of influence. Alan, I want to know what specifically you're doing to get that much business from your sphere of influence. In fact, I just wanted to share 2 or 3 ideas that these people could implement, deploy immediately as a strategy to up the number of referrals that they're getting, the calls that are incoming, the number of appointments, the number of contracts, the amount of money they're making. That's the bottom line, Alan. We want to increase that number. How would you recommend they do that with their sphere of influence?
Well, first of all, it starts with the initial appointment you have with a client, whereby I encourage them to that I'm working towards, helping all of not only them with that transaction, but earning the right to future business to work with them as well as their friends, relatives, for sell by owners that they see, and that I'm counting on that future business based on the fact that I'm going to do a great, stellar job for them. I'm going to occasionally call them, reach out to them, ask them to consider referring people to me. And every time they drive by a for sale by owner, Sean, I want them to feel guilty if they don't stop and take a picture of that for sale by owner and send it to me. And I let them know that, when you drive by that for sale by owner in your neighborhood or whatever, I'm not going to necessarily use your name and say, Frank asked me to give you a call. I'm just going to say one of your neighbors thought enough about me that they asked, they basically wanted me to follow up with you because they knew I would be a good fit to help you get your property sold because I have a lot of buyers in the wings. Would there be a time I could sneak by and take a quick look at your property? They've asked me to do that just on your behalf. So, and then I set the appointment. That's basically it. So I don't want that client of mine, that previous client of mine that I've done a good job for, to feel guilty by not sending me that picture. So I just let them know every time you drive by that for sale by owner, you're going to start feeling more and more guilty, and eventually, you're going to feel really bad if that sign goes down and I wasn't involved. So please just stop, take a quick picture, text it to me, and I'll make the call. So that's one thing I do.
And I think that's
The other
phenomenal.
Go ahead, Sean.
Well, I just want to underline what you just said. Now, guys, think about that. How many of you have your past clients that are out there bird dogging for sale by owner signs for you, taking pictures and texting it to you? Now, Alan, there's an indoctrination process to this. There's an education. There must be an expectation that is set for them to actually want to pick up the phone, call you with that for sale, or take a picture and text it to you. Tell me about that conversation. How are you doing that?
Well, initially I spend probably 30 to 40 minutes interviewing the client to make sure I really engage and understand what that client is needing when they come in the first time and I talk to them. Because, we could spend hours showing property that are unnecessary by looking at, properties that they're not quite qualified for, or that they would just like to see, and then they're so confused they can't make a decision. So I show an average of 2 to 3 properties, and then I close. If it's not the first one, it'll be the second one. And if it's not the second one, I probably didn't get it right on the introduction. So I'll go back to the drawing board before I even show a third one and make sure I'm in the right category. That, something wasn't quite right if I missed it in the 2 best properties that I showed them first. So I show the best one first. I show the second best one second, just in case the color was the wrong color or the floor plan wasn't quite right. But I'll usually get it within the first 2 to 3. And that way I haven't
Now,
wasted their time nor mine.
Now, how are you setting the expectation around the fact that they're going to make a quick decision when working with you? Because, guys, what I've learned working the buyer side of the fence of your business, it's nothing more, it's nothing less than setting and then managing the appropriate expectations. I always ask realtors, when is the best time to handle a buyer objection? And they always say, well, right away, right when it comes up, right on. Well, change the way you look at things, gang, and the things you look at change. What if you anticipated what their objections, what their challenges, what their problems are going to be, and in this initial counseling session that Alan is advising you guys to do, that you actually did a preemptive strike, that you headed off at the pass, that you handle these objections before they become objections. Like many of us, Alan, we've been driven crazy by difficult buyers in the past. They want to look at 50 houses before they make an offer. Now,
Right.
whose fault is that? See, guys, I believe it's the agent's fault because they failed to set and manage the appropriate expectations. They're coming with a perspective. Guys, they might have a parent who is overprotective and told them, do not make an offer on any house until you've looked at least 50. So that's their programming, which impacts their thoughts, leads to their feelings, their actions, and the results. So you, Alan, as an agent, get to reestablish expectations and standards with your clients. And so again, I want to hear that conversation, but I want to hear what you say and how you say it that motivates them to pick up the phone, because we've had the opportunity to coach together for several years, Alan. And when you told me this last week, I said, Alan, this is fortuitous. I'm doing a webinar on Tuesday talking about sphere of influence, how to get as many referrals as possible. I said, Alan, would you please give me a cameo appearance? Just come on for 10 minutes. And he's like, absolutely, Sean, let's do it. Well, I appreciate it, Alan, and all people do as well. So thank you.
Yeah, so Sean, what I do in the very beginning is I ask people to paint me a picture in words, with lots of layers of color. Just give me that broad stroke paintbrush of every color. Tell me the size of the rooms, what's going to be the room is going to be used for. What does that garage look like? Does it have a big roll-up door? How tall is that roll-up door? Does it need to hold a motor home? When the guy's talking about his workshop, I think of my workshop. It's kind of cluttered and not very big, but a lot of guys want a big workshop because they want to work on 2 or 3 cars at a time. So painting those pictures, and particularly guys, focus on the wife, because I can tell you flat out, you may want a workshop, but your wife, she wants that kitchen, she wants that bathroom, she wants that great big closet in the bedroom dedicated to her shoes or whatever. So we better have made sure that we let her paint that picture and don't just dominate the conversation. But by getting that better picture of what they really want, and thank you for sharing Rosie there, Sean.
Well,
anyway,
no, she's smiling, listening to you.
Hi,
She's like,
Rosie.
Hey. Love Alan. What's happening, hot stuff?
Hey, I love you.
I love you, Alan. You're my man.
You're awesome.
My man.
As you're talking about focusing on the wife, Alan, she's just smiling ear to ear, and she's like, Alan is so smart. Listen to the wife. Listen to the wife.
Why do you think Alan's so happy? He's a smart man.
Yeah, thank you. Well, so bottom line, get a clear picture of what they're looking for, and let them know. Like I let people know right up front, look, here's the way this is going to work. I show the top 2 to 3 properties after really listening to what your goals and objectives are in this home. Once you've given me all those layers of color, I'm able to really pinpoint and narrow it down to the top 2 or 3 so that you don't have to waste your time looking at a lot of unnecessary properties and being very frustrated with the process. If we don't hit it in the first 2 or 3, it doesn't exist. Means I have to go to work for you, go back and start prospecting on your behalf because it is not on the market. So does that make sense? And I'll ask questions like that where they can say, well, yeah, but I'd really like to look at 10. I say, well, that's just not the way, it's not efficient. It's not the way we should be working. We should narrow it down. So let's have a little more conversation and find out how we get to that top 2 or 3. Okay. So by doing that, I've set the tone that we're not going to waste a lot of time. We're going to spend a couple hours looking at homes. And then if it's not there, I get to then work with the BRBC and turn that into a listing tool, Sean, where I actually list list what they're, I basically get them pre-qualified, and then I'm able to use that to market to other prospective sellers. And I can say, I've got a pre-qualified buyer looking for X. Here's X. Do you have X? Or if you're not listed with a current broker and you're interested in selling your home, here's an opportunity for you to shortcut the process and end up, having a pre-qualified buyer come through your home. So if you'd like to shortcut that process, I use the BRBC as a listing tool, and I go to work and I prospect for that client to go find them something that I can double in. So,
okay, guys, I want to pause here, Alan, because I desperately want to underline exactly what you just said. I want to put a huge exclamation mark behind it. Guys, if you're not advertising the needs of the buyers that you have BRBCs with, shame on you. Okay, here's what you're doing. You're working a partial sales cycle. An agent works hard. Imagine a circular clock with me, right, guys? 12 o'clock, the agent gets a listing. They advertise the listing, brings them to 3 o'clock. They generate buyer leads. Then what do? They get the listing under contract. They work the buyers under contract. Well, then what? Well, then I'm back up to 12 o'clock. I got to get another listing, and I'm going to advertise the listing, get buyers, and I just go back and forth. I'm like clunk, 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 clunk. And guys, there's no rhythm to it. No wonder they can't get to momentum, right, Alan? So here's the point. You take a listing, you advertise it, you get buyers. You get the listing under contract, you got the buyers. Advertise the buyers. The buyers are going to bring you to 6 o'clock where you take your next listing. Then you advertise the listing, brings you to 9 o'clock, you get buyers. Advertise the buyers, brings you to 12 o'clock, get your next listing. Guys, this is a full cycle sales system.
Yeah.
This is smooth, it's fluid, it's predictable. And that's exactly what we want to see happen. Now, go ahead, Alan.
Sean, when I started my career, it took me 4 months to sell my first property, but by the end of my first year with Century 21, I closed 43 escrows. And that was done by using that BRBC. They were clear back there. We had 2-page BRBC back in 1989, and I used that as a listing tool, and I advertised in black and white classified ads. I put black background and white letters so it popped. And I advertised my buyers. I have 10 buyers pre-qualified for X, and I would identify what X was. And if I'd put that exact language. If you're a seller or a potential seller that is not listed with another broker and you're interested in having pre-qualified buyers come through your home, I've got a buyer looking for X. If any of these match, please give me a call. And guess who freaking called me? Sellers. Sellers called me,
exactly right.
and I wasn't having to pick up the phone and dial. They were calling me saying, well, I've got a house that might work for this buyer number 4. What do you think? You think it's the right house? I said, I don't know. Let me come over and take a look. Well, guess what? That was a freaking listing appointment. That was a listing. I was in the door before anybody else, right? And even if it wasn't right for buyer number 4, I got to build rapport with that client, and I got an opportunity to go to put a value on that and get a listing. So at the peak of the market, I was carrying 105 active listings, closing 282 transactions a year. And that was from primarily BRBC, using that started to build my career, and I just went on from there. Anyway.
That is phenomenal. Alan, I could talk to you for the next 5 hours on this webinar. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring you back, my friend. We're going to have another webinar where we're going to make you the absolute star of the show, buddy, because you deserve it. Guys, this is just the tip of the iceberg with Alan Savage, by the way. He happens to be in Grass Valley, California. So if you guys have any buyers for that area, any listings for that area, Alan is the man, and he will get you paid on a referral fee. I promise you that. So thank you for being here. We're going to invite you back in about a month. Okay, buddy? And I definitely want to go deep as to what you're doing to generate so many listings, my friend. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sean. We're starting to break up.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to go to our next guest, Mr. Cates. In fact, he built a tech company. Am I breaking up? Oh, no. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, everyone. I'm Dan. Sean is being played by R2D2 here momentarily. Let's see. Are you back, Sean?
I can give it a shot, guys. I stepped out of the
There you
vehicle. We have
are.
Wi-Fi in the car, but I had to step out of the vehicle. We're just checking in here, going to a mastermind today. So apologies. But let me just tell you about Dan, just real quick. He, at 40, he sold a tech company, did the mic drop. He should have retired, yet he just couldn't stop this thing from turning. Am I right, Dan? Couldn't stop this from
You're right.
turning. just a talented individual, understands specifically how to communicate with your sphere of influence. He owns a company called Happy Grasshopper. Dan and I are working together to build a platform at Icon Coaching that will enable Dan and I to literally get into your CRM, to bake in your 36 touch campaign. Heck, maybe it's a 47 touch, maybe it's a 52 touch campaign. Yet I'm working with Dan so that we can literally.
It's a good spot for him to stop, isn't it? Oh, Sean, we're going to be a little challenged here.
Is picking up? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Dan, take it away. Take it away, Dan. Please. Take it
Okay,
away.
I'll jump in here. So, hi everyone. My name's Dan Stewart. I love that Sean invited me to be here today. Before we dive in and we talk about what's possible, I want to make sure we agree on three things, right? Because if we agree on these three things, we're going to get along great. We can do amazing things together. So the first is my core belief that real estate is a relationship business. Kind of a duh, right? Everybody should say yes to that one. Second, I believe that relationships really only live in one place, and that place is conversation. So Alan and I do not have a relationship yet. We don't know each other. We're not old friends, right? But if we meet and we have a good conversation, that's the start of something, right? If we never speak again, do we have a relationship? We don't, right? Now, so many real estate agents struggle with generating referrals from their past clients in their sphere of influence because they don't have a meaningful way of consistently starting the conversations they need to have, right? So core belief number one is that real estate is a relationship business. Core belief number two is that relationships live in one place, and that's inside conversation, right? So if you guys have a chat function here, give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat if you agree with those things. Alan, if you agree, give me 2 thumbs up because I can definitely see you. Excellent, excellent. And I think we're seeing some comments coming here in the chat. I'll pull that over. I don't see that yet. So third core belief, right? This stitches everything together. The third core belief is that conversations lead to closings. They just do. Not rocket science. These are 3 easy things to believe in and to agree with. And yet, CRM adoption is among the largest failures of the real estate industry. Typically, 20% of agents who have access to a CRM system provided by their brokerage ever actually use it. Like, you guys can probably relate to this, I would imagine. It's not that you don't have the tech. It's that you struggle with getting it organized, keeping it organized, figuring out what to say, who to say it to, how frequently to say it, and then how to do all of those things while you're busy being a professional realtor at the same time. This career choice demands a lot of us. It is not for the faint of heart, right? It just isn't. And worse, there are about 1 million things aimed at you that won't possibly work. How many of you have bought stuff in prop tech that's just a cash incinerator? The old joke is, if you want to get rich in real estate, invent a product and sell it to realtors. That's the fastest way to do it. And sadly, it's so true. Like, every person who's hearing this has bought something that you couldn't get results with. Some of that, success is a shared responsibility. Failure is also shared. None of us succeeds alone. And so first thing we have to do is kind of, point our fingers back at ourselves. What do I need to do? Who do I need to become in order to get the kind of results that I'm seeking? So if we're going to be in alignment, if we agree on those 3 points I've already laid out, you need to become the kind of person that authentically shows up for people in your life without regard to a real estate outcome. That needs to be underlined in like big bold letters, right? You have to show up as the kind of person who cares about other people regardless of a real estate outcome. Okay. we're all taught, what you need to do to go generate business in real estate. We're not all taught how to show up as a professional realtor who can be a great resource for them without always talking real estate. So that's something that I've really chosen to focus on over the past 15 years of my life. And my intent is to be a resource for everyone that I have the privilege of serving. So I'm going to share something with you all now. I wrote a document I call Lovin' on People, right? How's that for fun? You want to have more closings? Get really good at loving on people. It's not about more leads. It's about loving on the people who already know you, right? So if you want that document, just send any email to yes@happygrasshopper.com. yes@happygrasshopper.com. You don't have to register for anything. You don't have to like cough up your phone number. Just send that email and my system's going to respond with a link to this Google document. And it will lay out for you the actual strategy of how to show up as a more authentic person who cares about your fellow human being. Right? So, that said, while you guys are sending and asking for that, I want to circle back to a couple things Alan mentioned. And Alan, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. I know we haven't built a relationship yet, but there are some things that you shared that I think are so important. I've written a book about it. When you're talking about how to get to know these people and what they really want, so instead of showing them 50 homes, you can show them 3 and get them there. Well, I wrote a book called The Connection Question. And the connection question is about understanding what it is that your buyers and sellers actually want from you. The connection question helps you identify at the core why it is someone is choosing to move and what they want more than just sticks and bricks and square footage and amenities, right?
Yeah.
It like your home is the place where you get to experience life. People make purchase decisions based on a lot more than sticks and bricks. So I'd like to, if it's okay with you, Sean, now that you're back, would it be
Yes.
okay if I just ran through the 5 dominant buyer personas here? Because like this is going to be so easy for everyone to apply, and it really
100%, Dan, and that's exactly the direction I wanted you to go. So I appreciate that, and
okay.
also I
Excellent.
apologize that it was breaking up so bad. We have Wi-Fi in our vehicle. As soon as I stepped out, it started giving me a problem, but I did get access through the hotel, thank God. And thank you for your patience with me, everybody. Yet what I was saying is that with Dan is assisting me, by the way. I had the honor of aligning with Dan and coaching with him in 2015, 2016. He's an absolute rock star, by the way. Now I feel like Dan is coaching me on, how to really help agents communicate aggressively with that sphere of influence. The goal here, you guys, in the end game, the why behind us launching this 12-2 SOI dominance program in March is to just that, help you get the 12-2 ratio. For every 12 people you have in that core sphere of influence, guys, you should be closing 2 transactions per year when you communicate with them systematically. And that's what I'm talking about. The system where it's predictable. Now, a system to me is a standardized process that produces a consistent and predictable result. Dan and I are working hard on putting that together for you to where we can literally go right into your CRM and bake in all the automations on your behalf so that you can get that 12-2 ratio. Then your job is to build your SOI to 200 plus people. See, 200 people, do the math, guys. That's 33 transactions all on its own. That's in addition to everything else you're doing. Maybe you're calling FISBOs, expireds. Maybe you're doing B2B networking or circle prospecting. Maybe doing open houses or door knocking. It's 33 more transactions in addition to all that stuff. So, Dan, please take us through exactly what we talked about. So please.
Yeah, happy to do that. So there's 2 paths here that we really need to align ourselves with, right? One is first, who do we need to become to get the results that we're seeking? And the 12-2 program, all the work I've done at Happy Grasshopper over the past 15 years, and the work in my book, The Connection Question, it's all centered on being an authentic human being who shows up for our fellow human beings in meaningful ways. Right? We live in a weird time. Anyone who's alive today has more information fired at them and available to them than at any other time in human history. It's an astounding thing. So we're all bombarded with way too much noise, and it's really hard to hone in on the signal, right? As AI becomes more and more prevalent, there's going to be more and more pressure placed on real estate professionals to prove their value. So we need to leverage AI, and we need to become expert at doing the things that AI cannot displace, right? There's no
Personal
bot
connection.
that's going to show up for Alan Savage and help somebody through an emotional journey of buying and selling a home. Like, we have got to be present for those people. And to do that at a high level, we must understand how they think. So I'm going to briefly share with you the context of the work I've completed, and I'm going to teach you 5 buyer personas that you'll be able to leverage as soon as today, right?
Brilliant.
So
Take it away.
where this work comes from, it's the Values and Lifestyle Survey, which was commissioned back in the 1960s by the US government. All right. Remember the Greatest Generation? They went to Europe. They stomped fascism in Europe and in the Pacific. They came back and they gave birth to the hippies, right? That freaked out the US government. Like, what's the future of America? Oh my God, what were we fighting for, right? They were just crazy trying to figure this out. So they hired someone we've all heard of. His name is Abraham Maslow. Remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs from school? Well,
yeah.
they hired that guy to figure out what the heck is going on with America. Like, what does this mean for the future? And for the first time in history, a new science where we're combining psychology and demographics was created. That science is called psychographics. So massive nationwide survey was conducted to figure out why people do the things they do. That's what the survey was for. And when that massive work was done, it became public information. And Stanford University's Stanford Research Institute took that information and they used it to create incredibly powerful advertising. So any of us who've watched a national market television ad since 1970 have been influenced by the Val study. That work is in there, right? You know those commercials that are so memorable, you can think of them today, like the
To all beef patty special sauce. Come on, finish it.
Yeah,
You can do it.
yeah,
Finish it.
There's that. I mean, there's all of those, right? There's like the little old lady sitting by the phone, wishing her kids would call, right? Reach out and touch someone. It's like they can reach into your heart, they can squeeze these emotions out of you, and then they deliver their product or service in that emotional moment, right? They are understanding how people think to get us, all of us, to buy those products or services on demand. It was incredibly powerful, right? So now it's 2026. That data has been in use for 50 plus years. It's amazing how much research has been conducted. And what this has done is it's allowed us to identify 5 dominant buyer personas. So I want you to write these down. The first one is called the joiner. The joiner represents 40% of the population in the United States. As the name implies, joiners want to belong to something, right? They wear the team jersey on game day. They go to church, like they're proud to support America. These are people who want to be part of their community and connected to other people. Well, if you're really going to understand someone, you have to know their motivations and you have to understand their fears. So that the dominant motivation for a joiner is for things to stay the same. That's what they want more than anything. Their greatest fear is change, right? So let's imagine I'm going to be showing property to people. I'm going to have my buyer's consult. I'm going to sit down with them and I'm going to ask this question. What's most important to you about blank? We're going to fill in the blank with several different things here. That's the connection question. When you ask that question, you're going to get an insight into which of these buyer personas a person falls into. If I ask a joiner, hey, I'd love to know, what's really most important to you about the next neighborhood you live in? And if they say things like, well, gosh, we'd love for there to be a bunch of kids about the ages of our kids. That'd be great. If there's a community center or like shared playground space, community pool or something, that'd be really fun. You know, these are joiners. They're saying that that's who they are. That's where they fit, right? They are terrified of change. So maybe you're all jazzed up personally about all the redevelopment that's going on in the area. Look at this. This is so new. This used to be an old shopping district and it got all run down. So we're tearing it all down. We're building this whole new mixed use center. It's so cool. You can do your shopping on the ground floor and people are going to be renting apartments on the upper. This is going to be so cool. You love that, but the joiner is freaking out, right? You're not selling to their deepest motivation. So if I've got the joiner, I'm going to be saying things as I'm driving through the neighborhood like, wow, look at these trees. They must be hundreds of years old, right? We want to talk about the constancy of the area with a joiner. That's what's really going to light them up, right? So now I'm quickly going to run through these next buyer personas. And Sean and Alan, if you have questions along the way, feel free to stop me, okay? The next buyer persona, this is the second largest in America. It's called the faker. And let's get the mirrors out here a little bit because we all know the phrase fake it till you make it, right? People who are committed to growing their careers are future-oriented individuals. We imagine a better future for ourselves than the present. We make buying decisions that are likely to allow us to achieve that future by demonstrating to people that we're already on our way, right? So think about brands that are selling to the faker. You know how Mercedes makes this like $350,000 car, and they also make the $30,000 car, right? Both people get to say they drive a Mercedes, right? Right? So they're appealing to that person who's future paced. Now, the faker's biggest fear is getting found out. They don't want to, be discovered as someone who hasn't really made it yet. They're just on the way to making it. That's their greatest fear. And their deepest buying motivation is to be desired. That's what they want. They believe that once they're successful, people are really going to value them and desire them. Now, in the advertising world, we've all heard the term sex sells, right? I mean, you want this beautiful woman, buy the product she's selling, right? It's so overt in advertising, it's repulsive. But we all have this monkey brain, right? And so they're just wiring it together that simple. So because the faker is so future paced, you need to invite them into the future they're likely to experience in the home. Okay, I might be showing them the exact same home I'm showing a joiner. I'm just describing it in different ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's imagine I open the back door and there's a large pool area. I'm going to say something like, wow, wouldn't this be a wonderful place to host a party? Do you know people you'd invite here? They're going, yes, like they've got all these images in their head. Their movie studio is firing off. They're excited to imagine being in that place in the future, right? So we've got to help them experience that in real time. So that's the faker, second largest group. The third group.
How large is that group? Do you mind, Dan?
They're
What
about
percentage?
30%, about 30% of the U.S. population.
Got it.
Okay.
So the joiner, Dan, feels like they're due to pace and priority, feels like they're more the SC type behavior, a little slower to make decisions, perhaps. Fear of change. We recognize change is inevitable, growth is optional, right? Yet the faker feels more like the I type kind of behavior where they're more socially driven. Most important thing to them might be, just acceptance.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I love the way your brain's working. I love just observing this in real time, right? Because Sean's an expert in the disc profile. He knows exactly how this maps, and he's got the context to accurately be able to do that and make some of these connections. If you're listening to this and you don't, that's totally fine, right? Because this is so easy to implement. Once you're in the process of asking this question, like what's most important to you about the neighborhood you live in? Hey, I'm curious, what's really most important about the next home you live in, right? Hey, I'm really curious, what's most important about the financing for this property? They're going to give you lots of different answers, and it's going to easily help you identify who they are, right? So the faker is going to answer those questions a lot differently. They're going to name brand you. Okay. Where I live in Tampa, we have a neighborhood called Cheval, right? Oh, it's really important to me. I'd like to live in Cheval, right? Or there's another big one for the faker. They want the best deal. They want the most square footage for the lowest possible price. They're looking for a great deal, right? The faker is well understood by home builders. They all build the same neighborhood, right? All the money is invested on the facade. It's the stone and the brick up front, stucco down the side, right? It's the expensive appliances and finishes in the kitchen and in the primary bath. Everywhere else, it's builder grade, right? That's it. They know exactly who's buying these properties. And again, brand name, that neighborhood Cheval. You can buy the multi-million-dollar mansion in the back of the neighborhood, or you could live in the multi-family condo up front. Same neighborhood. You both get to say you live in Cheval. You both get to say you drive that Mercedes.
So Dan, I guess you'd have to come up with a term like this is very chevalish, right?
So thinking about the next group, this is my favorite group. Everyone who's actively practicing real estate needs to understand this group. This is the royal. They are the high net worth individual. If you want to earn more GCI without selling more property, this is the fastest path to do it. Now, the challenge is that rich people can be scary, right? They can be. Maybe you didn't grow up with means. Maybe you haven't earned the means yet. Maybe it's like, oh my God, these people spent more on their bath mat than I did on my house. Like, it can be scary, right? So
Well,
if
Dan, I can
that's
relate
you,
to that, buddy. I can
I mean,
absolutely 100% relate to that. Many of you can as well. I remember the first time that I had an initial counseling session with a $1 million+ buyer. Dude, I was nervous. I seriously, my cheeks were flushed, my heart rate was up, my hands were even trembling a little bit. Now that stemmed, Dan, from not knowing exactly what I was going to say. I went into that meeting hoping that what comes out of my mouth is really good. I just wasn't sure it was going to be because I didn't have the systems, I didn't have the models in place. And as a direct result, I didn't have the confidence because I lacked competence. You guys with me on this?
confidence leads
So,
confidence, 100%,
no doubt
100%.
about that. So
So
this is why we do this so that we can improve the strength of your foundation, guys. Now there's 4 categories of foundation. It's your knowledge, your skills, your mindset, and your habits. Now I want you to think about what Dan's talking to you about. We've been through 2.5 of the different 5 different profiles, right? I want you to think about your knowledge around these profiles, your skill set in becoming that chameleon, because here's the bottom line. People like each other, like each other. And then let's face it, our prospects, they don't care about us. They're prospects, man. They don't know us from Adam or Eve. They do care about how they feel when they're with us, though. And that's what Dan's talking about. How do you become the chameleon? How do you make them feel comfortable? Not just in your personal and face-to-face interaction with them, yet with your email campaigns, your text message, your daily interaction, whether it's phone calls, social media, direct messages, communicating with a faker the same way you'd communicate with this royal. I mean, totally different type of communication, right, Dan?
100%.
And that's what we're talking about.
100%. And all of it is aligned with authenticity. This is my favorite thing about it because what you're doing in learning this and being able to apply it is you are becoming the type of person who is capable of understanding people at their core and then communicating with them in a way that shows you understand them at their core, right? Think about how that sets you apart today, right? There's no bot that can do that for people. It is a human to human skill. And, whoever you are listening to this today, this is skill that you can apply very quickly. This isn't something you're going to have to work at for months and months to get the knack of. As soon as your next buyer's consult, ask someone, hey, I'm just curious, what's most important to you about the next neighborhood you live in? Right? And see what their answers are. Hey, what's most important to you about the next home you buy? Right? See what their answers are. And even though we've just covered three and a half of these, uh, we're so close to the end, right? We're so close there. The Royal is the next one that you really need to wrap your arms around. This is a small percentage of the population. These are way less than 10%. And sadly, it's shrinking a bit. We're getting more wealthy at the very top. The middle is getting squeezed. The lower income people are growing. So this creates a unique environment for these people. 80%, 80% of high net worth individuals were not born into wealth. They earned it themselves, right? So, Sean, I know your story and you know mine, right? No one had to pull the silver spoons out of our mouths, right?
That's true.
We got to work, right? We got to work. And it can be a challenge for people who created their own prosperity to spend it. It can be. Advertisers know this. If you're manufacturing Ferrari, nobody needs a Ferrari. They want a Ferrari. Nobody needs a Bentley. They want a Bentley. Nobody needs a Porsche. They want a Porsche. So the marketing has to give this person permission. They have to make it okay for them to want this thing. So my all-time favorite example is a Porsche ad because they don't even use a picture of the car. The psychology is so powerful, they can just use copy, right? So the headline across the page says, if you could have world peace or a Porsche 911, and then in fine print right beneath it, parentheses, what color would you want your Porsche to be?
I love it.
Dear rich
That's good.
person, you can't buy world peace. That's a problem you can't solve. You may as well give yourself the car you want. Right?
I love it. That is so good.
These
That's
high net
classic.
worth individuals need validation from you. Their greatest fear is being mistaken for the faker. They hate the fact that someone can look like them who hasn't really done it. Right? I can relate to this as a serial entrepreneur. I've started 8 companies in my career. I've had 3 exits. I've had 4 dumpster fires. I've earned my scars. I know what I'm talking about. And when you get somebody who pops their head up and they're just, promise, 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 and no substance, no real ability to deliver, that's kind of what it feels like to be the Royal. The Royal will make a purchase decision to put their foot down and say, hey, I actually made it, right? There's a little bit of a difference. They're rewarding themselves in their purchase experience. So if I'm consulting with these people, when I ask them the connection question, hey, what's most important to you about your next home? They're going to say something very different than the other groups. They're going to say things like, well, at this point in our lives, we feel like it's time to reward ourselves. And they might struggle to admit that a little bit. After those exits, Sean mentioned in my career, my wife and I already lived in a lovely home. We loved it. We'd been there 10 years. We weren't super motivated to go live somewhere else. But, if the right property became available, we would be interested. We were in no rush. There was no urgency to our purchase. We took our time. And until we found the right home in the right neighborhood with the right acreage, the right amenities, all the things that we wanted, we weren't motivated to make that change, right? So these Royals, these high net worth individuals must be validated. You need to say things to them like, you know what, Alan? I think it's wonderful that at this stage of your life, you're going to get exactly what you want. And my job is going to be to make sure that you do, right? So let me give you a use case.
That's so good.
I want to give you an example. I have an old buddy, Justin Seeby. I wonder if anybody here knows Justin. He's in Atlanta. I met him at Keller Williams, Sean, back in the day. And I taught this to his team at his office. And later that day, Justin went out to show a property to some Royals. It was a $3.1 million listing. And, he rolled up in his Honda Element feeling a little bit like a fish out of water, right? He did. And it's normal for you to feel that way. Don't let that rattle you. You're not bringing your checkbook to their transaction, right? Let's be clear. Their financial reality is their own. It's separate from yours. You don't want to give them any sort of trigger that they don't deserve to get exactly what they want. So in Justin's case, this $3.1 million home, he shows it to them, and they, kind of talk it over, and they want to make a $2.4 million offer. Like, ugh, that's a punch in the gut. Yay, we get to write an offer, but it's not going to get accepted. This is horrible. So he is just, he listened to them, he heard them out, and he asked them to explain why they felt that was a good offer. And their answers betrayed classic royal thinking. This home had heated towel bars in every bathroom. That's an extravagance they didn't really need. There was a turntable for their cars in the driveway. That's an extravagance they didn't really need. So they're like taking these things off. They're just subtracting it from the perceived value of the actual home. And so what Justin did is he just reemphasized, I told you, I think this is the time of life where you deserve to get exactly what you want. And I just want you to think about, what would it really mean if you were able to call this place home? What would that feel like for you? Right? And they realized that their offer was ridiculous. And so they wrote the original offer. It was just under 3 million, and they settled just slightly above 3 million. So it was Justin's largest sale at the time. And he applied that the same day that I taught him exactly what I've just taught you. Right? So 2 last groups here. We're going to wrap up. The last group is super easy. It's the combo pack. It's the green. The green is the ecologically focused person. They want to save the earth. Their fear is being perceived as a consumer, right? They don't associate themselves with being a conspicuous consumer. They care about finishes. They care about insulation. They care about energy efficiency. Be prepared to talk about SEER and R values. Be prepared to talk solar, right? This is these people, and there's a market for them. This percentage of the market is actually growing, right? So you want to be able to talk to the green in their language. Now let's imagine you've got a listing that's got a really dated kitchen. Like, think about that, right? You've had that listing. You're wishing they would be willing to remodel this place before it has to hit the market, but they're not. Well, if you've got a green, that's actually an advantage, right? So if I'm showing a home to people that I know are greens, I'm going to say smart things like, well, look at this kitchen. Now, picture the Brady Bunch kitchen is what we're walking into, like extremely dated. I'm going to say things like, I think it's wonderful that they didn't just tear this out and put it in a landfill somewhere. Clearly, it's lasted this long. It's well made and has plenty of value left to provide. Right? That sort of framing takes this perceived negative and turns it into a positive for them, right? So greens, when you ask them what's most important about the home, you're going to hear energy efficiency. That's going to come up. So you know how to position yourself and the property to them. So last group is the combo pack. Alan, you mentioned earlier the Rosie, the wife, right? Don't talk about the workshop, talk about the kitchen. Like that. Yeah, I love that perspective. And like my wife wants me to have a big workshop, so I'm not in the house a lot. I mean, that may be a great thing too, right? So think about this. In every transaction, there's likely 2 people buying and 2 people selling.
Yeah.
Right? One party might be a joiner, the other might be a royal. One might be a faker, one might be a green. So you want to listen to how they answer these questions differently, and then you can easily modify the way that you talk to them, right? So I want you guys to have fun with this. Any questions about this, you can all reach me, dan@happygrasshopper.com. If you want my book, just go to danstewart.com. You can order it there, or just search it on Amazon. It's all over the place for you. And as Sean and I continue our collaboration, you can expect me to be a participant in this community. Every quarter, I lay out a communication game plan, and we're going to get everybody on the same page. So the golden quarter, every year, it starts in October with Halloween. It runs through Valentine's Day. We have all these built-in reasons to reach out to people on topics that are not real estate related. So golden quarter is a big opportunity for everyone. Every single quarter of the year, we need a game plan. Some of this we will completely automate for you. Once you're set up in the system, messaging will go to the right people at the right time. You won't have to mess with that. And we're also installing a volume knob where you can go, I'm slow. I don't want to be slow. Let me crank up the volume in here and get busy.
Good.
Right? So you need the support of set and forget, and you also need to be able to, fly the plane yourself when you choose. So Sean and I are collaborating to give you exactly that. And I can't wait to show it to everybody. So that's coming soon.
It's coming very soon. And guys, I am so excited about this program. I have dreamt about this particular program for seriously 35 years since I started into this business. I just felt I wasn't prepared. I wasn't equipped to do it. Now, Dan, after working with you, after working with several others, that I've just witnessed what they've done to get that 12-to-2 ratio. By the way, when we rewrote The Millionaire Real Estate Agent with Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, we did a ton of research, guys. We know exactly what it takes to get the 12-to-2 ratio. Now we're going to make that into a platform that you can plug in. Thanks to Dan, thanks to Icon Coaching and the collaboration between the two, we're going to have a brand new site for you guys to be able to plug into to where we can bake these automations into your systems to where nothing slips through the cracks. And that is the goal. And the why is to increase your level of income so you can take care of your loved ones at a very high level for years and years to come, you guys. So if that database is a bit of a mess, don't worry, Dan and I, we've got you covered. There's no doubt about that. In fact, we're going to launch this program sometime in March. I'm going to hold that date back, okay, because I want to make sure it's perfect. Yet it's going to be in March, and it's going to be really inexpensive, okay? And don't let the inexpensive price fool you, because this is going to be worth its weight in gold. All right. So, by the way, if you have interest, if you want, preferred pricing, because we're going to do this with our first group, we're going to really just make it super inexpensive. If you want access to this in March and you want that preferred pricing, I'm just going to ask you just send me a text right now. Now, I'm going to have to give you my cell phone number to do this, okay? So this is going to be a little bit cumbersome, and it shows your commitment to yourself, to your income, to your future, frankly, to your family. So write down my number and send me a text if you want early access to everything that we're doing at a preferred price. 720-341-4876. I'll give it to you one more time. 720-341-4876. I would love to have you guys be a part of our first group that we take through this 12-to-2 SOI dominance program. Thank you for typing that into the chat, Dan. I'm on my mobile, obviously, and it was going to be kind of cumbersome for me to do that. So, Dan, thank you so much for typing that in the chat and having my back. Guys, just drop me a text. Do it right now. And just tell me that you want preferred pricing and maybe put 12-to-2 SOI dominance. That would help me just categorize it so that when we're ready to launch this thing, you guys are going to get preferred pricing, and you're going to be the first group to be able to install all of this wonderful communication with your sphere of influence. All right, Alan, I want to thank you for being here, buddy. And I'm serious. I want to bring you back, bud, because we have just kind of scratched the tip of Alan's iceberg here, because what we see, obviously supported by so much more. I mean, you're carrying 50 plus active listings, 70 plus, 100 plus active listings from time to time. Guys, that's what you see, right? What's supporting that is Alan's purpose, Alan's environment, Alan's business model, all the marketing that he's doing. That's what's under the surface, and that's what I want to talk about with you, Alan, in an upcoming webinar, guys. So keep your eyes open. It'll be a nice picture of Alan, a nice little video that you get to watch as we promote your attendance. So look forward to seeing you all there. Dan Stewart, buddy, I'm going to fly up and we're going to spend a day together, and we're going to just finish this thing up, and we're going to bring it to market in March. You guys, thank you for your time, your focus, your energy. Thank you for all the value, Alan and Dan, that you provided to our audience. Guys, we do this every single week. So until we do it again next time, just be on purpose, be productive, be powerful, and don't forget to drop me a text. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Dan. All right.
Thanks, guys.